It was a rainy evening and Emma, a humble waitress, was finishing her shift when she noticed an old man outside the restaurant, drenched and shivering. The rain was pouring mercilessly, and the wind howled like it carried all the sadness of the night. People rushed by him, umbrellas high, heads down, pretending not to see him, as if ignoring his suffering would make their conscience lighter. Emma stood by the window for a moment, watching him struggle to hold his trembling walking stick. His clothes were soaked, clinging to his frail body, and the cold seemed to pierce through his fragile bones. Some customers inside laughed loudly, enjoying their warm meals and conversations, unaware of the quiet battle for survival happening just outside the glass. Emma's heart tightened. She had seen many people come and go, but something about this man, his helplessness, his loneliness, echoed deeply inside her. She knew she couldn't turn away. Without thinking twice, she hurried to the entrance and pushed open the door. Rain hit her face immediately, cold and sharp, but she didn't care. She walked toward the old man and gently placed her hand on his shoulder. He flinched slightly, as if he hadn't expected kindness from anyone. Sir, please come inside," she said softly. Her voice held warmth, the kind that melts fear. The man looked up, his eyes tired but grateful, and allowed her to guide him. As they entered the restaurant, warmth wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. Emma sat him at a quiet corner table near the heater and rushed to bring him a towel. His hands shook as he tried to wipe his face, so she helped him slowly, treating him the way she would treat her own grandfather. Emma then went to the kitchen and prepared hot tea, adding honey to soothe his throat, and ordered the kitchen to make a hot soup. She knew the rules. Staff weren't allowed to give free food, but she didn't care. She pulled out her wallet and paid for everything from her own pocket. It wasn't much, just a portion of her small salary, but it meant the world to the old man. She brought the tray to him, placing each item carefully. "But take your time, sir. Warm up slowly," she whispered. He looked at her, his lips trembling as if trying to form words. Finally, his voice came out as a soft, shaky whisper. "Thank you, my child. Not many look at me with eyes of kindness these days." Emma smiled, brushing off his gratitude with humility. "No need to thank me. You deserve warmth and care just like anyone else. But kindness is not always met with understanding." A supervisor noticed the situation and hurried to the owner, who was known for being strict, profit-focused, and cold-hearted. Within moments, the owner stormed out of his office, his shoes clicking loudly against the floor, each step filled with irritation. His face was red and his voice thundered across the room. "Emma, what do you think you're doing?" Everyone turned their heads, silence sweeping over the restaurant. Emma stood frozen, fear creeping in, but she also felt a strange calm knowing she had done the right thing. "He needed help," she said quietly. The owner glared at the old man like he was a stain ruining his perfect business image. "We are not a charity," he barked. "You are fired." Gasps filled the room. Emma felt tears swell. Not because she lost her job, but because humanity seemed so rare in that moment. The old man opened his mouth to speak, but Emma placed her hand gently on his arm, shaking her head softly, as if to tell him it wasn't his fault. She picked up her small bag, wiped her tears, and turned to leave. The old man caught her hand weakly and whispered, "Bless you, dear. The world needs hearts like yours." His voice trembled with sincerity, and she felt a warmth in her chest despite the heartbreak. As she walked out into the rain again, jobless but not broken, her heart carried both pain and peace. She had lost her paycheck, her stability, but she had held on to her humanity. And though she didn't know it yet, fate was already preparing something far brighter than she could ever imagine. The next morning, Emma woke up with a heavy heart, yet there was a strange calmness inside her. The memories of the previous evening replayed in her mind like a gentle film. The shivering old man, her offering warmth, and then being thrown out for doing what she believed was right. As she got ready, her small apartment felt colder than usual, not because of the weather but because of the uncertainty surrounding her future. She had bills to pay, a sick mother to look after, and dreams she had been saving for. But now everything felt shaken. Still, she refused to regret her choice. A job could be replaced, but compassion, she believed, should never be sacrificed to please someone's pride or greed. She dressed in simple clothes, tied her hair loosely, and walked outside. The rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet, glistening like silver under the weak morning sun. With each step, she reminded herself that kindness always mattered, even when it was punished. As she walked past the restaurant, her steps slowed. The place that had been her second home suddenly looked unfamiliar, like a building full of memories she could no longer enter. She took a deep breath, preparing to continue walking, But a line of expensive cars caught her attention. They were parked neatly outside, shiny and elegant, so different from the usual scene. The staff inside looked tense and hurried, running back and forth, straightening chairs, fixing uniforms, whispering nervously. It was clear something unusual was happening. Curiosity tugged at her heart. She wasn't planning to enter, but her feet stopped on their own. At that moment, the restaurant door opened, and she saw him, the old man she had helped. But he wasn't wearing shabby clothes anymore. Gone were the torn coat and shaky wooden stick. Instead, he stepped out of a luxurious car wearing a crisp suit, chin lifted with quiet dignity. A calm authority surrounded him. Emma froze, confusion flooding her thoughts. Was this really the same man? Her breath caught when she saw assistants walking beside him, treating him with respect. The staff, including the supervisor who had complained yesterday, stood stiffly, trying to look perfect. The owner came rushing out, bowing slightly, his fake smile stretching so wide it almost trembled. "Oh, Mr. Thompson, welcome," he said loudly, his voice suddenly polite, respectful, almost desperate. "Yaki." Emma's heart raced. Mr. Thompson. She remembered hearing that name whispered by employees before. The mysterious, wealthy owner of the entire restaurant chain, rarely seen but deeply respected. And now she understood. He hadn't been a helpless old man seeking warmth. He had been testing hearts, testing humanity, and the one who failed wasn't her. It was the man who valued money over kindness. The moment Mr. Thompson's eyes found Emma, something softened in his expression. He walked past the trembling staff and the sweating owner, straight toward her. The street went silent as if the whole world paused to witness the truth unfolding. Emma instinctively stepped back, unsure whether she should stay or run. She felt out of place, dressed plainly, standing jobless outside the very door she had been pushed out of. Mr. Thompson gave a gentle nod, one filled with recognition and warmth. "You came," he said softly, as if he had expected her. Before she could answer, the restaurant owner stepped forward aggressively, trying to block the scene. "This girl caused trouble yesterday, bringing strangers inside, breaking rules," he began, eager to justify his cruelty. Mr. Thompson raised his hand calmly, silencing him instantly. "I know exactly what happened yesterday," he replied, his voice firm yet calm. "And what I saw was not a girl causing trouble, but a human being showing compassion when no one else did." The whispers around them grew louder, employees exchanging shocked glances. The owner's confident posture crumbled, his face draining of color. Mr. Thompson looked directly at him and spoke with quiet disappointment. "A business can survive losing money, but it cannot survive losing its soul." His words struck like thunder. Then he turned back to Emma, his eyes kind, filled with something close to pride. "You did not know who I was. You gained nothing from helping me except the peace of your own heart. That is integrity. That is leadership." Emma felt tears form, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming truth settling around her. She hadn't done anything extraordinary. She had simply chosen kindness. And yet that simple choice had revealed the real worth of hearts. The staff watched, some ashamed, others inspired. The city noise faded, replaced by the quiet heartbeat of justice. Emma stood there, still shaken, but now lifted by a feeling she had never known before. Proof that even when the world seems blind, goodness always finds its way to light. She had thought she lost everything last night. Now fate was opening a new door, one built not on power or pride, but on humanity. With everyone watching, Mr. Thompson moved closer to Emma, and the warm smile on his face felt like sunlight breaking through a storm. "You showed kindness when you thought no one was watching," he said softly, voice steady and filled with deep sincerity. "That is the true heart of a leader." Emma blinked, stunned, unsure if she had heard correctly. Leadership? Her? She wasn't wealthy. She wasn't powerful. She wasn't someone society noticed. She was just a girl who believed no one deserved to suffer alone in the rain. The restaurant staff stared at her wide-eyed, unsure how to react. Some looked ashamed, remembering how they had ignored the old man. Others looked inspired, surprised that compassion had just overturned cruelty in front of their very eyes. Meanwhile, the former owner's face twisted in disbelief and panic. For years he had run the restaurant with strict rules and profit-only mindset, never realizing that humanity, not money, builds true respect. Now, in one moment of truth, his coldness was exposed, and his authority had crumbled like fragile glass. Mr. Thompson turned toward him, eyes firm, voice free of anger but filled with finality. "You may know how to run numbers," he said, "but you don't know how to run a place that serves people." The owner tried to speak, but words failed him. His years of arrogance, his pride, his greed had given him power, but not character. and now that power slipped away in the silence of shame. "You're relieved from your position," Mr. Thompson said simply. The man's shoulders dropped as if his entire world collapsed in one breath. He looked at Emma, not with anger, but with the bitter realization that kindness had defeated him where power couldn't. He left quietly, no longer the ruler of his small kingdom, while Emma stood still, heart pounding, unsure whether to cry, smile, or breathe. Then, to the astonishment of everyone, Mr. Thompson turned back to Emma and extended his hand, not as a test, but as a genuine gesture of recognition. "Emma, from this moment forward, you are the new manager of this restaurant." Gasps filled the air. Emma covered her mouth, disbelief and emotion washing over her like a warm tide. Never in her life had she imagined such a moment. Just yesterday, she had walked out alone in the rain, fired and heartbroken, wondering how she would survive. Now she was being offered not just a job, but respect, trust, and a chance to shape a place with love and dignity. Tears streamed down her cheeks, tears of relief, gratitude, and pride. She wasn't crying because she had won something, but because she had kept her heart pure when she could have walked away. She didn't help the old man expecting reward. She helped because it was right. As she shook his hand, the restaurant erupted into gentle applause. Some staff members came forward with shy smiles, apologizing for not helping the night before. Emma forgave them with a soft nod, reminding herself that everyone grows at their own pace. She looked around the place she once served in from the lowest position, and now stood as its leader not through privilege, but through compassion. She took a deep breath, feeling a powerful truth settle inside her. Real success isn't measured in money or status. It's measured in kindness, integrity, and courage to do what others are afraid to do. From that day onward, Emma transformed the restaurant into more than a business. She made it a place where respect mattered more than titles, where customers were treated like family, and where no one in need was ever turned away without warmth or food. Word spread quickly, not about the scandal, but about the girl who chose kindness and changed her destiny. People came not only for meals, but for the feeling of humanity that filled the air. And every time Emma saw someone lost or struggling, she remembered the cold night she met a man in the rain and chose compassion over fear. Her life became proof that kindness is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in softness, power hidden in humility. The world may not always reward good hearts immediately, but fate has a beautiful way of returning everything we give. Emma didn't just become a manager. She became a reminder that one act of kindness can change everything. And sometimes the rain that tries to drown you is the same rain that helps seeds of goodness grow into something extraordinary.